Good morning. It is Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I'm also the co-host and co-producer of the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And that team, which I'm a part of still, by some miracle, has reached out directly and indirectly to over 300,000 dads, fathers, and caregivers since 2020. I'm also a featured contributor for the Fly Nubian Queen Network, which is powered and directed by Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. And that YouTube channel has 581,000 followers. And on top of that, we also are big supporters of something called Indie Soup TV, Indie Soup Media TV, which is powered by Dr. Tachi out of Florida, where you can watch replays of this epic conversation from even going way, way back from our early days. And that is a network that has over 26 content creators, independent content creators, and the reach is over 1 million people. Good morning, Ryan Knight. What's going on?
Hey, good day, Dr. Vibe. And for those that don't know who Ryan Knight is,
I don't. He's the car wash guy.
And other many things.
Yeah.
As you know, I'm one of the co-founders of the Afro Caribbean Business Network.
Chest out.
We work with entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage, really to figure out what stage their business is in and help them create a strategy to grow their companies exponentially. And yes, I run a company called Detailing Nights, which is a mobile waterless car cleaning company. So we go to people's houses or their offices, clean their cars on the spot without using water, and our plant-based eco-friendly cleaning supplies. And we have our first info session today for youth that are looking to start their own business in the summer. So if you have a teenager, a young adult, and they've had trouble getting a job maybe last summer, think of entrepreneurship. We're going to be showing them how to start their own business. We have about 30 registered for tonight.
Whoa!
And then we're going to do another session in about a month. So End of May, training starts to hit the ground running for June. So, hey, I feel students should do a business at least once in their life to really see if it's for you, if entrepreneurship is for you. And we give you that kind of launching pad. So looking forward to seeing who shows up today and how they receive the information about working with us this summer. But always good to see you, Dr. Vibe.
Right back at you, my brother. Let's do our Monday tradition. This episode of The Morning Vibe is brought to you by the Macmillan Group, providing mortgage solutions one client at a time since 1999, buying, refinancing, or investing. You can call them in Canada, 905-813-4354, US 904-586-5636. So they are always supporting us. Appreciate them and don't take it for granted. And we also have, you can see it on your screen, there's their contact information, Canada, US numbers, toll free, website, the Macmillan Group, the MacmillanGroupInc.com, and then email raycmcmillan@gmail.com. So what's going on in your world, Mr. Knight?
So not sure how closely you're following the budget announcement, but that's been very underwhelming. So
you're reading my alleged mind here.
Right. We're in Canada, so for those, a couple months ago, the provincial, so in Ontario, they released their budget, and now the federal government, they released their budget under the Liberal Party led by Justin Trudeau. So Chrystia Freeland, who's the finance minister, did her presentation. So they're on a bit of a tour talking about the different announcements. But as I opened up the budget, and you do your Control F to see how many times the word Black is mentioned and what specific supports there are for the Black community. Also, how much times the word African or Africa is mentioned, and how many times the word Caribbean is mentioned. I couldn't find the word Caribbean, so that if it's in there, somebody tell me where to find it. I did see the word Africa when talking about international relations, nothing specific to African residents. And then you do see the word Black, I think it's 9 times, but the main funding that was in there talking about Black mental health. So I believe they're putting about $5 million towards supporting Black mental health. And so, as you know, I run the Afro Caribbean Business Network, so I was curious to see what was in there to support Black business. And they only made mention of previous funding and talking about since 2015, they've invested X amount into supporting Black entrepreneurship. Nothing going forward that I saw. It is over almost 300 pages, so perhaps it's somewhere in there and not with the label Black, but that was my initial. So yeah, I was curious if you followed that along.
Well, you're reading my alleged mind. And first and foremost, how are you and the family doing?
Very good, very good. We're that loving spring coming up, playing outside a lot more. Good. So the baseball and basketball has been taking over the house.
Good. So, So I was going to ask you, because I don't know if you got it, but I got an invite by the Liberal Caucus, Black Liberal Caucus, to go to a meeting. And I don't know if it's tomorrow, Tuesday or Wednesday. So they offered an in-person or virtual option.
Gotcha.
So I
did not get this. So this is great. So it was for one of the announcements, or
no? It's actually. Remember the event we went to a few years ago at Silver Trust Media?
Yes.
Same sort of thing.
So they're doing like a panel.
Yeah, and so I responded back and say, "Can you tell me where the in-person location is?" I got a response back saying, "We're only going to be giving that information to people who are confirming to show up in person."
But what if it's Ottawa?
Well, no, it's downtown Toronto.
I was like,
sorry, they're holding it in downtown Toronto. Okay. So I'm going, should I go in person based on my experience last time, or should I go virtual?
They need to see your face. If you can make it in person, because they need to hear the follow-up question and not be able to dismiss it online. Like, they specifically said they were working on Black media support. So if they aren't willing to answer that question, I think they need to see your face and give a response, and not a block and bridge political response.
Block and bridge. What is, you're playing dominoes?
I'm seeing the Liberal Party get very good at not answering. I mean, I guess politics, they've always been good at that.
Yeah, but don't make it party specific, man.
But they're on the hot seat, right?
My mind is it's like at 10 o'clock till noon. Okay. And I'm just going, I don't know. People who are watching here from Canada, should I show my face there, or should I do it virtually?
Please convince Dr. Vibe to make sure his face is there in person.
Fitness IQ says morning, good morning. Roger Dundas. Roger, Roger Dundas, him and his beautiful wife, Camille Dundas, are the powering force behind BuyBlacks.com, Black Canada's #1 online magazine. Also good. Let me just finish the hello. Barely says good morning, everyone. Good. Fitness IQ says show your face. Yes. Toronto traffic.
You should go, because we should actually do a budget show for Black Canada Talking this upcoming Sunday and get Cesar's thoughts on it. See if we can get someone like Eldon Holder Jr., who we've talked about previous budgets before. Have a panel to see what is actually budgets.
You know what? Let's take this offline.
Yeah.
And see if we can get something together, even if it's 1 or 2 people that would like to come on and talk about the budget. I know that Fitness IQ Cam did on her show on
I was just
Saturday,
about to say that.
Something about, but just get a bunch of people and talk about the budget, because let's take that offline. I'm still not convinced to go downtown yet, by the way, family. So Like it's not. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling about doing to go the downtown fine. You know. So okay. So there's a lot of things going on. What else is going on? I've just got to respond to a message in the private chat. What else is up in your world?
What else is happening? Yeah, you know, we had the big grant for the Ontario Trillium Foundation. So the Youth Opportunities Fund was due last Wednesday. So that's always crunch time. And I talk a lot about the Youth Opportunities Fund because that was one of the biggest grants I initially got. That was almost 10 years ago, like 2015, 2016. So seeing and making sure people understand it's difficult, yes, but once you apply for one of those more tedious government grants, like federal or provincial, it like trains you on all grants because that's the most difficult one that I've seen. And actually the federal ones are just the way you have to apply for federal grants is a lot more tedious. At least Ontario Children Foundation has a portal that is somewhat user friendly. So yeah, just walking people through the process. A lot of people, it's their first time writing the grant. So them nervous, but then understanding the process. That's typically what our info sessions and our working groups do. So
see,
the next one.
See, Ryan's team is winning here. Shirley says, "Go in person, show you so you can your faces." Good morning, Oval Inspired. Good morning. She goes, "You should go, Dr. Vibe." So Ryan's team is winning.
It's a shutout right now.
I don't know. Well, actually, when we'll go to break in just a moment because we got a posse of people coming on the show today. I mean, a posse. But this is just going to be good. But one of the things I want us to chat, maybe not down the line, especially for people of color, are we setting up our children for success, economic success?
We should have a panel about that. Bring on Wayne, Ray,
yes,
Harry.
You know, see, Ryan. The other Ryan is saying go in person. See,
thank you very much.
I'm telling you, if I go, I'm gonna IG live and say you drove me to this, and this is the result. I'm gonna charge you. I'm gonna charge each one of you. I'm gonna bill you for my mileage and my parking.
Valid. You know what? I will sponsor you to go down.
Oh, you heard that, live people. You heard that. You heard that. You heard that.
Not everybody gets these invites.
I know. Okay. All right.
I think it's important.
So Ryan. Okay. So I'm gonna. Once I leave there, I'm gonna say okay.
Gas and parking.
Okay. Okay. People, did you hear that? Did you hear that? Okay. Yes. I may even go on Instagram Live and say, okay, Ryan Knight said on Monday, okay, this is what it is. All right. And you know, but see, but look at this. I will come with you. Well, if you didn't get invited, you can't go. That's the thing. It was only sent out to 30 people. And Fitness IQ goes sponsorships. Again, reading my alleged mind.
Yes.
The grant, nothing against grants, 100% nothing against grants, but I'm a firm believer in the sponsorships, because once you want sponsorship, you get into corporate money.
Absolutely.
Not government. And another thing too, won't get too far into it, but a lot of people think that a lot of companies, especially the big ones, get approached a lot in regards to sponsorships. They don't.
Gotcha.
But I ain't gonna go any further. I got some intel. They don't get approached a lot for sponsorships, and like it's saying, and they got money. And that's another thing too. One other thing, a lot of companies, as the year gets to, as you know, we're almost halfway through the year, but they got to make sure they spend all the money they have allocated for sponsorships. Like I was in a conversation. I won't say who the company is and the brand and their PR company. It was a rare conversation. Said, what can we do to help you? How many times are you on you're involved in a collaboration with an organization? They're a big organization. They say, we want to help you. What can we do to help you?
Absolutely. And when you're having a conversation and it's more like a partnership, that is where it's really fruitful. And I always like to give a shout out to Alterna Savings and Susan Henry, because she's supported ACBN from our beginnings when we were just an idea.
Hey, get her to sponsor the show.
Hey, we'll follow up again. Yes, yes.
Because
Absolutely.
actually there is potential interest from another financial company, maybe in regard to this show.
Gotcha.
I was at an event a few Fridays ago, and I have a meeting with someone who's their community liaison.
Okay. Hey, let's lock it in.
So we'll see what happens. But you know what? We're going to stop it here because, as I said, we got a posse here today. I'm not even going to say who the posse are or what they're all about, but let me tell you, I think this is going to be this may be the most people we've had on a live morning vibe ever at the same time. So hold it tight, everybody. We're going to bring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people plus us on in the next few minutes, and we're going to have a great conversation about a situation, especially in Canada and another part of the world, that we should all know about. Very, very important conversation. And actually, one of the ladies I met a long time ago, she probably doesn't remember me. Maybe she remembers my shiny head. She does remember me. All right. She's giving me the finger. Yeah. I remember you. And I'm looking forward. I'm very excited to have her on. And we're going to hear about a very heartening documentary. That's going to say a heartening documentary. So keep it locked on the Morning Vibe. We'll be back in a few moments, and we're going to bring, we got a gang in a good way. Nice. We got a gang. So we'll see you in about 2 minutes with a whole gang of people. So keep it locked on the Morning Vibe. We'll see you in a moment.
And that's what I feel like. You feel like you're the Harriet Tubman of the mind.
I am.
I feel like I'm I'm one of the Harriet Tubmans of intelligent Black people. Like, I want to liberate y'all from being left behind and ignored and oblivion. Now, really, the rappers get all the attention. Seriously, does anybody else feel this way? Like ignorant Black people, they'll be all up, getting all the headlines on the Shade Room.
Overly sexualized Black folks.
Like the twerkers and the just people that don't always represent the best of us. The diversity. Like people like Dr. Vibe. Like everybody should know about people like Dr. Vibe. Dr. Really Vibe he's trying to do good work for Black people. Dr. Vibe from Toronto. Good to see you, my brother. Dr. Vibe. Everybody follow Dr. Vibe. He has a great show. He's very good at what he does, and I have a lot of respect for him. The men who are also doing the same thing. I see Dr. Vibe in here. He's a great brother. Everybody should follow Dr. Vibe, by the way. He's a smart brother in Canada, and we need to follow smart people. So follow Dr. Vibe if you see him in the chat. And Dr. Vibe, say your name in the chat so people can see you. I want you to click on his name, and I want you to go follow him, please, because I want these men and women that are doing the right things to get the support they deserve. Hey, Dr. Vibe, how you doing, brother? Again, like I always do, I got to say everybody should go follow Dr. Vibe. He's got a great show. Dr. Vibe, I know Dr. Vibe's got a kingdom because I see your channel. I see you pouring into that every day. Everybody should follow Dr. Vibe, by the way. Look him up, Dr. Vibe, V-I-B-E. He's a great friend of me and my wife, and I love this guy.
Okay, so let me hop into this. What's up, Dr. Vibe? How you doing? Everybody, if you see Dr. Vibe in the chat, everybody go follow the Dr. Vibe show. Dr. Vibe is a real smart brother and a good human being. I like the guy a lot, and he's very intelligent. And I think everyone should pay attention to what he's got going on. We got to shine the spotlight on the intelligent Black people out here that are really doing the good work. Don't just pay attention to the rappers and the celebrities. A lot of these people are losers. Your true winners are your people in your community that are really having your back. Helping us to have stronger families and a stronger community. So Dr. Vibe is in that category. So you might see the Dr. Vibe show in this chat. If you see him, please go follow him. Okay. All right. So anyway.
All right. We are back. Thank you, Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia. We got to do a few more quick things before we bring the gang on. So first things first. Please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you want to advertise your business product or service on our platform, please email me at dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. And as always, join our Discord group where we'll continue the conversation between conversations. And one other thing, one of our favorite people, she's on once a month, Carolyn Nicole. Her company, Energy Juice Shack, is having a plant-based expo for all things plant-based, Sunday, May 5th, 2024, from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. There's the address. There's the link. I'll also put it in the chat. That's it. All right. You know why I like these type of conversations? Because we're not going to lead it. Ryan Singh's gonna lead the conversation because he's gonna. Yes, you are, Ryan, because you know more about this than everybody else. So what we're gonna do before we bring the gang up is there is an incredible documentary called Ray of Hope. And just by the title itself, we all want rays of hope in our lives because we are not always in the best of places. And it's about the 26-year armed conflict in Sri Lanka compelled numerous Tamil Eelams to seek refugee in foreign nations. And if I get pronunciations incorrect, it's my head, not my heart. Notably in Canada, among them is Rafika. And I'm not going to try to say your last name, Rafika, because I'll mess it up. And I don't want to mess it up. You already gave me the finger in the green room. A former Canadian member of parliament who fled the Sri Lankan civil war with her Tamil family during her childhood. This is an incredible story. I've been blessed enough to watch the documentary. Challenging at times for me. Really challenging. And I'm glad that we're going to bring a number of people that are involved. We've got Ryan Singh, one of the driving forces. Nikki Cole, another one of the driving forces. Andre, another one of the driving forces. Patricia, another one of the driving. And of course, the finger waver, Rathika, is on it. So I would say, first of all, to everyone, thank you for an incredible piece of content.
Thank you.
I mean, wow, like I wish I could share so, because I've got notes here, but I don't want to give it away. But there's some areas that I want to share today. But Ryan, you probably have the best synopsis on this story to start it off. But everyone here does. But you're our main contact in regards to this. So can you give us an introduction to everybody here, and let's have a conversation about it.
Hi, my name is Ryan Singh. I'm the director, producer, co-director, producer of Ray of Hope, along with Nikila Cole. Nikila Cole is my partner in crime in steering this ship. But we couldn't have gotten started with a project like this without having a source. And our source is Radhika Sitsabaisen, who is a former Canadian member of parliament and of Tamil background. From the country called Sri Lanka. She'll tell you more about that.
Oh, she's giving the finger again.
That finger's everywhere.
Well, where do you get, did you get that finger from mom or dad?
Probably my mom, let's be real.
Okay, all right.
And we got producer Patricia Scarlett, who has been my right hand and left hand, just making sure that she's stroking the keys as we go out looking for monies to produce something like this. As you can imagine, you've seen the size of the team in the credits, and it's a massive team. It takes a lot of resources to make something like this happen. And then we have Andres, who is Colombian, and Andres came on as a colleague just looking at the project, and he gave his comments and ended up becoming the composer of the film, working with a lot of the Tamil artists to bring out the flavors and blends that you heard in the project. Okay. So this is it, and I'll pass it over to Radhika so she can tell you a little bit about what this story is about and why I'm involved and we're involved in telling this story.
Thanks, Ryan, and great to be here, Dr. Vibe. So it's been way too long, my friend. It's been way too long. So much love for you. Listen, Ryan.
Uh-oh. Okay, we're talking about
we're trying. We're trying.
We're call people out here now.
If you've met me, you know I keep it real, right?
I know you do. I know you do.
So I'm a Canadian of Tamil descent, and I don't identify as any other country other than having Canadian citizenship, but I do say that I'm from Tamil Eelam, which is the country that's south of India and north of Sri Lanka. And it's, my whole existence is political. So why not be open about it, right? I'm a child of war. I'm a survivor of the genocide of my people, of Tamils, on the island nation that's currently known as Sri Lanka, but really it should be 2 countries on that island. So how Ryan got involved? Well, when I was a member of parliament, I figured was probably the safest time for me to travel to my homeland, because I had received multiple death threats before from very credible sources because of my activism and being a very, very loudmouth about the Tamil cause. And so I figured it was safe for me to travel while I had literally the world's eye on me. And I was like, hey, buddy, I want to take a camera with me and capture some of the footage from when I go so that when I come back, I can share with people through my YouTube channel or something. And he's like, if you can afford it, why don't you take me with you? I have a camera, I have skills. And so that's really the seed that started all of this, is me saying, well, it's easier than me figuring out how to use a camera and capturing footage. So come on with me, and packed him up with me. And
Approx, what year was that?
That was December of 2013.
Gotcha.
Wow.
We traveled to Sri Lanka, and you may have heard back then about Canadian MP under house arrest, or a whole bunch of international kerfuffle that happened back then. That was the trip that Ryan and I took together to visit my homeland, see my family's, my roots, where my roots came from. And that was literally the seed that started all of this.
I want to jump in for Patricia, Andre, Nikki. What was your first exposure to this journey, and what was your first response?
Okay, I'll jump in.
Okay.
Well, I had been following the war, what was going on in Sri Lanka, and in university, my roommate was originally from Sri Lanka. So she certainly kept in touch with family, and I was aware of it. So when Ryan approached me with the project, I told him I thought it was a strong project that had legs, because in addition to being specifically about the Tamil people, it's also an immigrant story. So anybody who has had to leave their home country and go somewhere else for whatever reason, be it war or for economic reasons, there's something in the story that they could certainly connect to.
Okay. All right. Nikki, Andre?
I'll jump in. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm really delighted to be here.
Pleasure.
And very honored to be part of this team. I grew up on the west coast of Canada, and in the news as a kid, I was hearing this war. I thought it was a civil war, Tamil tigers. It was just sort of like headlines that just kind of dropped in, and then it went away. It was like it just sort of disappeared from my consciousness. And I, like everybody else, most likely, I just didn't think about it anymore. And I didn't know anybody from Sri Lanka. And I have known Ryan for many years. We're both filmmakers here in Toronto. And Ryan started to tell me the story of the trip he had taken. It's only, I think it was just 2-3 years ago. It was in the middle of the pandemic. He called me and he said, there's this amazing story about this woman that I started shooting, I think you said 13 years ago at the time.
Wow.
And he started to tell me what had happened. And he started to tell me about Radhika and Radhika's story. And I am the descendant, as Patricia said, I'm one of those people who's a descendant of refugees who fled, in my case, the pogroms of Russia. And so this story, this kind of story, is very much in my own DNA. I just instantly responded, and especially the female story of what happened to Radhika and how she had not only survived, but she had thrived and she'd become an MP. And it was just a very inspiring story to me. And when I heard it, I said, well, what do you want to do? He said, I want to continue shooting. And I said, well, how can I help you? I mean, I'll do anything I can to help you, because it's an amazing and important story that nobody knows about. Nobody in my world knows about and doesn't know the details of. And so that's basically where it started. And I don't know, Ryan at some point said to me, well, will you co-direct with me? I don't remember that part. It just kind of mushroomed and happened. And I don't know, Ryan, maybe you can tell me how that happened, but that's where it started for me.
Nice, nice. Andre, you look like you're focused into your monitor, guy. You're on mute. That's how focused you are into your monitor. And I still can't hear you. What's he going on with? Okay, no problem.
Andre, it's down at the bottom left of the screen.
You see, there's a good producer. Give direction. There's a good direction. But, well, as we're overcoming Andre's challenge here.
Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah, well, thank you for having us, Dr. Vibe. Very nice to meet you, and thank you.
And Ryan.
I just wanted to say that the moment that I was introduced to this project was when I saw the teaser, and I got in touch with Ryan, and immediately I felt very, very, deep resonance and about the project, just of my background. There was internal conflicts. And as we're in the light of international conflicts at the time, when we talked with Ryan, he gave me more of a context about the documentary, and I felt there was something that I could support and help in the music portion of it. I asked him if he already had someone on board, and then we eventually came to the talk of the music. And then I gather and research as much as I could, because this was also like my first time that I was exposed to, the story of Radhika and all the context in Sri Lanka. So yeah.
Okay. So for Ryan and Radhika, when was the moment the dream became a reality? When did you know it was for real? And another thing I want to ask is, not even ask, but share with people, dreams don't have an expiry date. This has been a long-term journey. When did you both realize this is real?
We're still coming to grips of the reality of this, because as we all know, trauma is not something that you can really just put away. You actually have to have a performative mask to go through your day-to-day living. And so it's really hard for Radhika every day that I'm working with her, for her to put herself vulnerably and say, this is my experience. This is where I come from. And so it's a difficult journey. Radhika, you can talk more about your experience. Yeah.
Of course. When the dream became a reality, it's a reality every day. And it's not just for me, it's for so many. It's our reality every day. And when did this project become a reality? I think we were originally thinking of making the film about our trip and the sharing some of the experiences we had, and realize, it's not really, there's Ryan, you're back. It's not really about my experience or Ryan and my shared experience when we were there. That's not the real story. The real story is the stories of so many others. And the reason that we originally wanted to do something was to take this silent genocide and break that silence and give voice to it and amplify the voices of so many who have either been silenced forever or who continue to live under an oppressive regime, or have become scattered around the world and have had to find new ways of life and just continue on. And for me, I have this compulsion within me, that sense of responsibility to be one voice, right? Be an amplifier of so many others' voices. And I think it was around the end of 2021 or early 2022, where we're like, we need to talk to more people. We need to have conversations with more Canadians and really include their lived experiences, their stories, have them share from their own voice. And not really me talking about the everything, because there's so many people who can share their voices. And what we see is a common thread, common recognition that sure, we're all walking individual independent paths, but these paths are all on this wide road. You know, we're all on the same road, and we have different experiences along the way, but very, very common thread of that, for the lucky ones, survival, escape, and then the opportunities globally to rebuild ourselves, start from scratch. And then for many, it's thriving, not just surviving, but thriving in our new home.
Mhm.
And for me, I'm grateful that Canada is that new home. And so it's really in somewhere in 2022 that the current version of Ray of Hope, of the documentary, really came to life.
Wonderful. Ryan Knight, you got
I
something?
was
Go
I
ahead.
was curious, Radhika, because I know you capture a lot of content and you have to cut it down to the documentary, and maybe for you, Ryan, as well. Is there any stories that didn't make the final cut that you feel people should know about, and even any surprises as talking to more people that came out through your conversations?
Absolutely. We've got so many different stories in this documentary. We could have gone a whole different story. We actually cut a whole different story when we were finished cutting this story, and we're like, we have option one, we have option two, we have
Wow.
option one, we have option two, because a story like this, and when we're dealing with politics, we're also dealing with factions of community that can be divided because each person or each group have different interests. And so the challenges of meeting all of those interests in a single story is very, very difficult. And everybody wants to hear their voices represented. And
Right.
that's one of the things about working on a project like this, is about empowering diverse voices. But when telling a story, we can only travel along one narrative thread. And
Mhm.
so we chose the narrative thread of family. And what came out of all of those experiences was the sense of the search for identity, a sense of searching for a place where one can identify and say, I am Tamil Eelam, I am Canadian, because there's still that sense of statelessness.
Mm-hmm.
And each of those threads can be explored much further.
Okay. I have a conversation piece for Nikki, Patricia, and Andres. And we're not going to give away the whole documentary, but what is one moment in the documentary that lives in your heart?
The pain of the mother whose husband was shot. And, she started off just recounting, and then and there was just so much emotion in her face. And then when she starts to cry and she's sobbing, you get to see a little glimpse of what it is she lived through. She lived to tell. And yeah, I think that's the one that really stayed with me. Yeah.
Nikki?
Oh my goodness, it's like asking,
I know. Look, I've got a whole pile of
You
points, and
broke
I wish I could share here, but
me.
I got to keep
Yeah.
it concealed till it gets released. But go ahead.
Oh my God, there are just so many. When you first asked the question, of course, for me, I'm a former dancer and I'm a former Pratanatyam dancer, which when I heard that Radhikat, it's a form of East Indian dance that I had studied years ago in London. And as soon as I can remember the moment that we discussed it on Zoom, and Radhika said, yes, well, I kind of might do this Bharatanatyam stuff. And I said, excuse me, what? What?
Mm.
He said, I dance. And I said, oh, no, that's it. We've got to include this in the story, because for me, the expression through dance is where I live. I mean, that's the body, the visceral sense of the pain and the suffering and the joy and she talks about it in the documentary. So yes, I have those moments, Patricia, with the mothers and the realities of what people went through. And I can't watch the documentary without crying. I can't. It's like, and I've looked at it hundreds of times because I've been editing it for a long time. But when you asked the question, that's what came to mind. It was like the scenes that we were able to include and we shot, and it was actually the first thing I shot as a co-director were those scenes, and it was just an extraordinary experience, and so we have woven it in differently than I had originally intentioned, but it's come out terrific as far as I'm concerned, and you get a sense. So you'll see something there that you'll never see in another documentary of this kind. So that's where my heart is. My heart also is with every single story that's there, and it just gets me every time. So,
Andre?
Yeah, it's a very, very challenging question because I just felt so connected all the way through this documentary and the different stories. But if I want to point out a moment where I, like really goosebumps, that I felt very compelled to work alongside amazingly talented musicians from the community, from the Sri Lankan community as well. And I felt that was like the most key element in the making of this score. It wouldn't have been the same, it would, and it's, very important to said that me collaborating with Rishi in this coming at the end where Radhika goes back to Sri Lanka and something happened, and it's a very emotional moment, and I think that section with the score and what we did with Rishi and my Bansuri player as well, I thought that was very, very special and very emotional. It's like almost like a emotional climax.
So Rishi is this 13-year-old young man who had been playing for about 1.5 years. Last year, he performed about 30 shows with his father. He has two younger sisters, and they all play. And it's interesting that this whole family of musicians are able to compose all of these different big tunes when they're performing at these events. And they came in, this was the father's first time composing for a film. And this was Rishi's first time in all of these experiences.
Wow.
And it was just so special for me to include them, because one of the things that I strive for whenever I'm telling stories is that it has to be inclusive and representative. And this is what we were able to accomplish with this project, that 100% of what you see on screen is representative of the Tamil community.
100%.
I would also just like to jump in to say that Andreas's music is so, again, viscerally important to this story. It lifts it. The reviews that have been coming in, they rave about the score, and it's just wonderful because to me it speaks to the universality of the story, that he can come in and research very deeply and work with the Tamil community, and yet still bring his own talent and skill to create a score that is just magnificent. We should do a soundtrack album.
Yes, we should. Yeah. Thank you, Nikki, for those kind words. It was really a collective work. Score is an embodiment of, these talented Sri Lankan musicians coming on board, and me just trying to, collaborate in that way. Yeah.
I want to go back to the finger pointing lady.
No.
No. This is, for me, one of the special moments in the documentary was your daughter asking, did grandma die in the war? I had to stop that moment and just really reflected on the generational impact forward and backward. Can you share that moment right there? I don't know how you held it together.
Well, it's what Ryan was alluding to earlier. It's those masks that you have to wear. so that I can protect myself and her, right? It's to interrupt that passage of the intergenerational trauma. It's actually my grandmother, her great grandmother, who she never got to meet, that we were talking about during that part of the film, that conversation. And it's important for me growing up. I would ask questions. My favorite word in the English language is why. And my parents didn't really have a lot of answers for me because they were still living the trauma. And their best answer they had for me was go focus on your studies. Because growing up in poverty as a new immigrant, it was that education was that only key, was going to be the best key to leave that circle of poverty. And so go focus on school, go focus on school. Oh, you don't need this right now. We'll talk about it later. And we never really had conversations. So for me, I started yearning to know about my people more, know about our history more. And I think that's what led to a lot of my advocacy. So for Maya, my daughter, I left as a 5-year-old child. And when we were filming, Maya was 5. So that conversation you saw was between me and my 5-year-old daughter. And I had to have conversations with her. I think it's important that I have, I guess, age appropriate conversations so that she's not left completely confused and wondering. And I've learned since, because we've now had so many youth come on board to help with the project. And I was driving and speaking with one of my youth volunteer coordinators, and he's like, and I asked him, I said, why are you involved? And he said, Radhika, for so long, I've been trying to have conversations with my parents and they don't tell me anything. And I've been thinking that somebody's got to do something to tell our stories because I need answers. My sister needs answers. And what you've done, what this film does, and this young man hasn't even watched the movie yet. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what I know you've put together is some answers for me and some answers for us young people right now and the next generations to come, which is Maya and beyond, right? So that we can at least have an opportunity to open the door a little bit to have a conversation with our parents, our uncles and aunts, our grandparents, whoever is alive. And so I was driving on the 401 and tears running down my face because this man just made it all worth it. Right? He just made the 11 years of not knowing what we were doing, not the fear of how do we tell this story? Do we tell it? Who do we turn to for support? All of that. This young man made it all worth it in this one conversation he had with me. And so I'm just hopeful that me putting on a face every day, a mask every day, and being that strong, put together person just means that we're able to impact so many people's lives by them being able to have conversations.
Well done, Rathika. But remember, even strong people struggle. So don't feel bad.
Oh, I struggle every day.
I can imagine. Ryan Knight, anything you want to add?
It flashed in my mind as you were talking about that gentleman being able to get some answers. Is there anyone that you wish you could talk to and what questions you would ask them? Maybe some answers that you hadn't gotten already?
There's so many questions I have that have not been answered, because what I have for most of my life, all the information I had was what I was exposed to in the media. And so this trip that Ryan and I took in 2013 was me looking for answers, being able to meet and experience people, the home that I grew up in. All of those things were answers, some questions answered. I would really, if I could, I would want to have a conversation with my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, who was the grandparent with whom I was closest as a young child, but I never got to see him ever again. After I left as a 5-year-old, and I never got to see him again. I have some letters that he sent. I have a notebook that he sent with, practicing English alphabet and words.
Right.
I have that, but he was a wealth of knowledge, and just, I know he had so much more to give and share with us. And I did get more time with my other grandparents, but I never really got to. After 5, I never got to really have a relationship with him. So I wish I could have more conversations with him.
I got a conversation piece for Nikki, Patricia, and Andres. Share your moment the first time you saw the finished piece.
Okay. So, I've watched a lot of documentaries, many different styles, etc. But the finished piece, what stayed with me, beside that moment of that woman explaining about, witnessing her husband being shot, and just the fear for her family, her children also being harmed, were the dance sequences. I thought it really added another texture, another dimension to the film in terms of how it told the story, not only of the sorrows, but of the joy, the celebration, the overcoming. I thought that was a really nice element to the film that I think a lot of people will also walk away with, and the color and the vibrancy of those sequences in the film. Yeah. But I think it's a wonderful, wonderful documentary, just in terms of structure, all the elements that are in it. It's beautifully shot and edited, and of course, it has a wonderful score. So, yes.
Man, Andres
Yeah.
getting big ups here, man. I'm
Yeah.
telling
Yeah.
you, he's the cleanup. I tell you. Nikki and Andre, what was your experience reflecting back the first time you saw the finished product?
So Ryan Singh will know what I'm going to say. An artist's work is never finished. You just leave it. You walk away from it. I don't know if you're familiar with the story of Giacometti, the sculptor who sculpted those long figures that he whittled away, and he kept whittling away at them, and then they would collapse. So his brother snuck into his art studio late at night and would take the sculptures out to save them. And I think I would be probably accused of the same thing at this point. Is I'm too close to it yet. I see the problems. I see the work that needs to be done yet. So I'm still driving everyone crazy. That's my job. I drive people crazy. And so, yeah, like it's a year from now, I'll probably feel differently. I've noticed that a year out, you sort of look at it, something, and you go, oh, that's not so bad. It's like, it's the perfectionist in me. I can't.
I gotta jump in here. Nikki is a bit of a superhero, and I don't know if anybody else know this about her, but I got a chance to travel to London with her last November, December, that end of the month, and she received a piece of footage from someone. She'd never seen it, and she's looking at this content, and it's about 3 minutes long. And there was one shot, one frame, 24 frames that makes up a second. And she's like, something is wrong with that frame right there. And sure enough, we spent 5 minutes just trying to find that frame.
You're right.
And it was a single shot that was misplaced in that whole sequence, 3-minute sequence, and she saw that frame. So I don't trust Nikki with anything.
Or we trust her with everything.
No, you can't leave anything undone and trust that that it'll pass her.
It's my job
Wonderful.
to drive people crazy. That's
I love
why
that.
they hire me.
You should use that as your tagline. Just there you go, Andre. What was the memory or reflection the first time you saw the finished product?
Wow. Well, it was first of all, when I finished delivering the score, I felt a lot of energy went into this and a lot of soul, went into this from everyone. And then when I come back to seeing, the pieces, everything just in a finished state, I really felt so much, like so proud of everyone. It's just very, very satisfied with what I saw. I mean, I was like, all the pieces, all the little details that the team and of course Dicky has you know just point out, it came to fruition, and I felt very, very, very satisfied and compelled to be part of this project. Overall, I just felt everything paid off in all the right pieces and moments, and I feel it's a very strong proposal at an international level, that it makes justice to the Tamil story and the Tamil community.
Wonderful. We put it up on the screen. There's just a link for the gala for Ray of Hope. I've also shared it on in the comment sections of all the platforms that people are watching live on the replay. Some comments here. Hayton says, I met and talked with Rathika at a mutual friend's home when we talked about how trauma is an individual, it's a generational family and community, and so much more. Frequency Event Promotion says, big up to all of you. Big time. Dr. Tachi mentioned her at the beginning, the driving force behind Indie Soup Media, who is also a documentary producer herself, is very impressed. Travel Jones says, good morning. She says, Dr. Tachi says, this is phenomenal. Thank you for holding this conversation. There you go. So many other things. Other than Rathika, this is one of the things that came up to me after watching this documentary is her favorite word. And that's one of the things that it left me with. Why?
Why?
So I want to ask each one, other than Rathika, did you, going through the project, did you ask yourself why?
Every day I ask myself why, and every day people ask me, are you Tamil? Why are you doing this? And every day the community asks me, why are you doing this? Because I'm an outsider, I'm a black man, I'm all of these things that they don't know or trust, because when outsiders tell someone else's story, they tell it from their perspective. And so in my why, it's I'm always asking myself, how do I do what I do better? And to whom do I consult? So everyone I've hired, I say, why are you interested in being a part of this project? And that was my big why. And that was based on how they answered that, I brought them in. And based on how they treated the content and the people, they may either stay in or they may be excused respectfully. I also, when I look at the why, it was about amplifying diverse voices. And so, no matter how small and insignificant a contribution was from someone participating, and when they feel like I didn't give my best, or I don't know if I satisfied the overall mission that we were doing here, I was always saying it helped to move something forward. As Dr. Vibe would say, an answer to someone's problem. And so that was my why, and it still is my why as I go forward. How do I bring it to the audiences so that they can see themselves? Because this is not just about the Tamil people. This is about the Ukrainian. This is about the Africans. This is about the South Americans. This is about all humanity, because at some point we've all had our human rights violated in some way based on political motivations.
Anyone else?
Yes. Well, my why was a much bigger and broader question in terms of we've been through the First and the Second World War and all that both of those things left us with. And the why is like when and why haven't we learned the lessons that we need to learn, that we continue to perpetrate this kind of violence against each other? In my lifetime, there's never been peace in the world. Every corner, there's something else. We haven't had, that level of violence in a state sanctioned way, but we've had pockets, so if you think about Oka and what happened there, but a general war has not really happened in my lifetime on Canadian soil, but everywhere else in many different pockets of the world, we continue to see war as a way of somehow solving a problem. And again, when you dig down deep, it's a lot of, as Ryan said, political motivations that are causing people to and selfishness and greed and all of those things, why people act in this way. So my why is, why are we repeating this again in this specific area of the world?
I echo everything that's been said about the whys. And for me, my mission in life is to shine a light on untold stories. And why do this story? Because to me, you can only start to heal something when you shine light on it. Light heals. And I don't think we're going to be able to stop this ridiculous concept of war until we heal globally. And so anything I can do that's part of ending the insanity of war, and as Ryan says, it's all over the planet, which is, years ago I worked on the Vancouver Space Center, did some films working with NASA footage, and I looked through the eyes of the International Space Center down at the Earth, and it was all upside down, and it was like, where are we now? And the Florida Panhandle was upside down, and there were no borders. There's no borders. Those are human made. They're man-made borders. And when you look down from space at this fragile little beautiful idea in the universe called Earth, and the ridiculousness of what we're doing, what we've been entrusted to do, to care for and to care for each other, we have to learn or we're going to destroy it. We're just going to keep on destroying. And that is never, ever, ever a solution. War is not a solution to anything. The only people that benefit from war are the people that manufacture weapons, as far as I'm concerned. And
Absolutely.
it has to stop. That's my why.
Yeah, well, I can echo, the answers of everyone here. I think the subject matter hit me the most. I've seen, coming from my Colombian background, um, a lot of internal conflict and close stories as well. And I just felt that I look at this with very care as well, very delicate subject matter, and I just felt that there was a space for me to come on board and support as much as I could, you know. And this is my first feature length documentary that I am also doing. So I just before I just did a short documentary, a series of shorts, but this was on a bigger scope, and I felt, um, as being a whole, just mix of themes in this documentary that the music could also play a, you know, a part in those different themes as well. So I just was like, that's why I am going to be part of this. Well, I'm be part of this team. You know.
Ryan Knight, you want to add anything? I won't. We won't keep you guys too much longer. I could keep you guys on for 2 hours, but I know you got your day to go on with. Ryan Knight, anything you want to add?
Well, before I ask Ryan about the typical journey of a documentary, Radhika, I would love to hear from you. Where do you want to see this documentary go? Are there any pockets of the world that you really feel need to see this story told?
There aren't any pockets. Everybody needs to see it. That's it. Everybody needs to see it, because like what we've heard from the team is that this is everybody's story. It's only providing the perspective of the Tamils and our lived experience, but it's everybody's story, and everybody, so many can relate. Everybody, I want to see it in screens everywhere on every continent, because there's people who are impacted by these stories, these lived experiences everywhere.
And so the world is going to know your last name. So can you coach us through how to say it?
You better spotlight her and type it out phonetically so people know.
You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do this.
Yes,
All right. So Ryan, my name is Radhika Sitsabai Eason. So it's Radhika. The TH in Radhika is like the word rather. So it's Radhika, and then Sitsabai Eason.
Sitsabai Eason.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That hard. You just needed a quick lesson.
I have a conversation piece for each one. And I know you. I want to get these two in because I think they're really important. First of all, for each one of you, how has this journey been different than any other one you've been on?
Go ahead, Nikki.
Such great questions. Nikki, you're muted.
Ryan, was my thinking that loud?
I'm a director. I'm supposed to know where to call the shot.
I know. How is it? The question is, how is it different than any other? Well, first of all, the subject matter, obviously, and having the honor to interview. I did the long interview that's threaded throughout with Radhika, which was an amazing experience. So obviously all of that is different. Every show, every film is a whole new experience. So everything about it is different. One of the big things that was different was being a co-director. And that was really quite a journey that Ryan Singh and I went on, where we Radhika's laughing. Sometimes we were like battling things out, and sometimes we learned.
Is there to be a BTS reel?
Not.
Okay, all right.
Nothing. I see nothing. I hear nothing.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, Nikki. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, it's like, and Ryan and I had known each other for a long, long time and have full respect for each other. We adore it. Sorry, I adore him. I can't speak for him, but anyway. And so it's sort of like getting married to someone, and you think because you know someone really well for a long period of time, you can marry them and everything's going to be just hunky dory. Everything's going to be normal, and we forgot to actually sit down and figure out what does co-directing actually mean to you. And it turns out we had different ideas about what that meant. And so the shock was, oh my goodness, you think it's that, and I think it's that. And then we had to go through all of how do we deal with that, and how do we deal with the differences, and how do we deal with it? How do you deal with a brand new marriage that you're suddenly thrown into, and you're working, you go, oh, I didn't know you wanted to do it that way. No, we can't do it that way. Yes, we have to do it that way. So that was sort of technically, as a filmmaker, it was the new thing for me, was learning how to do that. And I'm hoping Ryan Singh agrees with me that that we did overcome and that we did manage and we did sort out how to work together. And I know I learned a lot, and I can't speak for him, but so
Well, I just threw her a bone of another project, and she said, "Fully, I want to be on that one too." So
Nice.
that's how far
we
we've
didn't
come.
learn from the first marriage.
There you go. I won't say nothing to Cheryl. Bye. So for everybody else, how was it different
For
than any other?
me,
Yeah.
this is my first feature-length documentary. I've been doing this business for about 20 years, and truly, it really does take a village to make something like this happen. So Ryan Oneil Knight, I've known him. He's supported me in so many ways. Last year, I got a chance to sit on his stage and pitch this project. And this year, I'm pitching that I'm finished the project and asking him to buy a table of tickets. And then discovering that, oh no, Ryan is a journalist. Right, and so he gets to help me tell the story, and that's the biggest learning experience, is that it takes a community to make a project like this happen, and it will take a community to make it successful. And so it's about harnessing the grassroots engagement and having people from different communities and different organizations help us bring this to the audiences that they represent, and helping our word of mouth engagement to help this project get known, get seen, and hopefully gets recognized in a meaningful way, so that the stories of the Tamil people is amplified and that the justice they seek can be further, realized. And so that's the big thing for me. And doing the story is a major responsibility. It's not my story as much as I'm the director of it. It always is and will always be the Tamil story. And that's what's important. I'm just the vessel by which this particular edition of the story has been captured.
Now, before answering the question, I just wanted to make a comment about what Rathika said about the film being seen by everybody. Another moment for me in the film was the United Nations, that sequence, and the body language of the men and women sitting there listening or appearing to listen, tells the whole story.
Yeah.
So that particular group, they all need to be made to sit and watch the film. And then it's part of their sensitivity training, I think, because when you watch it, you can see there's a disconnect. Here it is. First of all, the speakers, the Tamil speakers, are under this pressure, number one, to deliver what they have to say in English. And there's the time constraint on top of that. So it's like, how do you process this? People are rushing very important information that they're trying to share, their pain, their trauma, and why it is important that the United Nations pay attention and listen to this. But the body language and even the whole process tells me that it's not really treated as seriously as it should be. So that's one thing. In terms of what was new for me, it was working with an impact producer. And that's a very new thing to the whole documentary filmmaking world, impact producing. So I just found the process interesting, and it's opened my eyes to something new in the documentary filmmaking space.
All right. Amazing questions, because this is so new to me. And this was almost everything. The context, it allowed me to explore and research how I'm gonna tackle this, musically. And after we left out of that first spotting session with the team, it's that striking moment of like, okay, it's the moment of truth. Now I gotta face all my fears, and I gotta execute musically. And it's a delicate subject matter that you just feel second guessing all the way through. Is this the right approach? Is this the right musical decision, and why not? But uh, so yeah, the instrumentation, and because of the context, and working with also for the first time with a bansuri player, vina player, Tamil singer, it's just a lot of new things. But and also my first feature length documentary. So yeah, that's it's a big was a big challenge for sure. Yeah.
No problem. Ryan Knight, I have one more conversation piece, but before, do you have anything else you want to add before we start closing it down?
Well, I wanted to circle back to Ryan and help us understand the journey of documentaries. Like, what would be next? I see the gala's coming up, but can you walk us through kind of the journey of where you expect this piece to go?
Yeah. We first introducing this documentary on May 5th to audiences in Scarborough at the Scarborough Convention Center, which is in the heart of the Tamil community here in Canada. And then following that, we have the Hamilton Black Film Festival, which is going to be hosting us on the 24th or 25th of May. They're still confirming their schedule. They've already indicated to us that we are nominated for an award with that festival, and that's going to be in Hamilton, Ontario. You can go to hbff.ca for the website and schedule. We're also going to be at the Romford Film Festival in Essex County in the UK. So that's going to be our international premiere at the Romford Film Festival. That's going to be on the 27th of May. So we're hoping to be there. It's also going to be playing at the International Black and Diversity Film Festival here in Toronto on May 30th. And we have been nominated for 14 awards with the International Black and Diversity Film Festival. That's going to be on the 31st. So the award session and gala. And we are also now just recently got news that we're going to be in the United States. There is an embargo until they release that information. But it's going to be at the festival there. And we're really excited about that. And that's going to be in July. So maybe we can come back out and talk about how the festival is going, how the audiences are receiving.
I already want Rathika one-on-one to talk more in depth with about the Tamil community already. So that's already a request. Rathika, you wanted to ask what was new for you through this experience?
Yeah, I don't know if it's for me. I think it's what Dr. Vibe, you and Ryan were able to do today, which was what Nikki did as well during that 2-3 days of conversation, is somehow remove the mask, somehow create a space for allowing vulnerability. And I think that's very new for me, and probably very new for a lot of our participants who are courageous enough to share their experiences, is actually stopping for a minute and starting some of that internal processing and allowing for that was very new for me. And Ryan has tried for years and had some success. Nikki, I think it took you a day and a half before you were able to, I don't know, get some of that vulnerabilities, that processing to come out. I don't know. It felt like torture to have to try and rip the mask off of strength and all that, right? So I think that's what's new for me. And I'm grateful that I have had this space I mean, I've been diagnosed with PTSD for many years by many practitioners, and I never actually processed that the root of being born in a war zone and all of that lived experience was probably contributing to it. So I think a lot of that is what's really new for me in this whole experience.
Good stuff. Nikki, you have very valuable comment to add, I know.
Yes, I thank you, Radhika, for your comments and also for allowing yourself to be vulnerable. It was, as I said, it was really an honor, and I know how hard it was for you, and I know all the reasons that for a woman who's been through what you've been through and has had to develop armor to deal with the world. It's a hard thing to take it off. And it is the only way that it can actually be relatable to other people, as if we do that in this journey. So thank you for that. I also wanted to mention that in this particular situation, I don't know if you all know, it's still actually very dangerous for people to speak out. And so 2 of our participants could only be filmed anonymously. Their faces are blacked out. And that's the real reason, is that it is still dangerous. So not only is Radhika, she's in a safe place and she's able to do that, but it's still dangerous. It's this, these forces are still at play. So huge congratulations for the courage to Radhika and for everybody who spoke, whether anonymously or not. I mean, Collins, I can't pronounce his second name, I'm so sorry. Thank you. Says in the documentary, I didn't know I was even going to actually do this interview until this morning.
Yes, until the morning. Yes, that was really.
He might not have spoken, right? Because it's still dangerous. So, it takes a lot of courage for this documentary and others, obviously, but this particular one is still very dangerous for people. So, bravo.
All right. A few quick questions before we let everyone go. First of all, Dr. Tachi says, I may have missed it, but where can we watch the documentary? Not yet. Or what I will do is I think Ryan and Dr. Tachi may know each other a little bit. I'll let them handle that conversation. Another quick question for Ryan. Ryan, curious, is this your first documentary? I think you answered that. And then secondly, how do we, the community, continue to support the work that all of you do, specifically each one of you? This will be our last conversation piece. What do you want people to take from this documentary, and what would you like them to do from this documentary?
Radhika, you take this one.
What would I like people to do with this documentary?
After they watch it, what would you want them to do?
First, take time to process whatever happens inside of them, because that's going to be something. There's going to be something there. Take time for you, whatever space you need, and start having conversations depending on whomever you are, whatever your lived experiences are, and who are people in your circles. Start open doors and have conversations, and start seeing people in a little bit of a different light if they allow themselves to share that piece of them. And then join us. This is where the advocacy piece comes in and the allyship comes in, because it cannot just be Tamil people standing, whether in protest on streets, in front of parliament buildings, or at the Human Rights Council in Geneva, or in New York at the UN headquarters. It cannot be only Tamil people speaking out for the Tamils' justice. First of all, the truth to be recognized of a genocide, and then the justice and reconciliation to happen. So as individuals, join the cause, add your voice, add your, open your wallets and help people get to to make deputations, to participate in things. And wherever you are in the world, communicate with your governments as well, because eventually we are going to need a member state of the United Nations. Because right now we're a non-governing state, right? And we're globally volunteers who are fighting. So we will need a member state of the United Nations to take up the mantle, right? Take up the cause and be willing to advocate. And so reach out to your elected officials in your countries, and in Canada it would be your federal member of parliament, and ask them to advocate and get your countries to speak out. That's a big ask, I know.
That's all right. Anyone else
And
want to add on to what was said there?
Absolutely. In a business sense, to make a project like this, it takes a lot of resources. And for us to get to the festivals or to get screenings, it will take a lot of resources to do so. And so if there's anyone can come on and sponsor, can even as much as saying, hey, we got your drinks, we got your food, we got something or we got your travel ticket to go to Romford. These things help to go a long way in helping us to get out there, to continue to talk about the story, but also continue to talk about great Canadian stories that are not just monolithic. We have to have these diverse conversations on our Canadian screens. And so help us get there, come out and support by watching the film. An investment into our screening is an investment into all diverse stories that need to be told. And we have so many within our communities. Ryan, you and I have spoken about that so many times. And we just want to be able to continue to tell these stories in a meaningful way. I think we've lost Andres. He's had to go out to another event.
Gotcha.
Yes.
He's too much in demand. People are probably blowing up his phone after this conversation.
Absolutely.
Anybody else want to add on before we let y'all go? Any final words? I want to add, Patricia, you were talking about the UN.
Mm-hmm.
What really hit me was that mother speaking after that. That was hugely powerful.
Yeah.
That was huge on his back. But that part really was really, really impactful.
Yep.
Anyone
I'm sorry, I don't want to go too far off topic, but Patricia, on that note, do you have any advice for the Black community? Because they are in Geneva right now talking to the UN about the UN Decade of African Descent.
Yeah.
Is this like words of wisdom after going through that process that you can give to our brothers and sisters out there?
I don't have any words of wisdom, but just as an organization, I really think it needs to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have set processes for doing things, and I feel in every situation there needs to be exceptions to the rule. So this business of the timing, you have 2 minutes and you have to, again, for something that is so serious, it doesn't make sense to me personally.
Mm-hmm.
And so even if it means limiting the number of speakers to 1 or 2, but giving them time and space to be able to express and deliver what it is they've come to deliver to the members of the United Nations. I think the whole thing to me just felt disrespectful in that way because of this system that they have in place.
Having been there, Ryan, the open forum is really to get as many voices to introduce their topics.
Mm-hmm.
And another why in continuing this project it was so important was you can't just be in a room like that for 1.5 minutes and create alliances, because part of this engagement is we still operate in a colonial system. And part of the UN is that you can only speak in one of 7 languages. Those are the colonial languages.
Yep.
And you will get a translator for one of those languages, right? But at the end of the day, it's like living in a Big Brother environment. You got to get your alliances. People have to advocate on the person. And in the case of the Tamil stories, what I had observed, and Radhika can attest to this, is that many people speak in the third person because they are afraid to show their own vulnerabilities. And part of what we did with these documentaries was to try and move from the third person to the first person. In addition, at the UN, there is also the side sessions that allow for people to expand, have a longer 1 hour, 2 hour sessions, and really speak on their packages of what they're coming to advocate. And Radhika was one of those speakers who moderated one of those side sessions for the Tamil community. But still, you got to make sure that you harness enough people that are stakeholders, that are change makers, that can now go forward with your issues to their governments. So
yeah, and it's another powerful part in the documentary, Radhika helping some of the presenters speak English.
Yeah.
And then the courage of each one of them.
Yeah.
And you could tell that they felt rushed and they were pressured. They only got 2 minutes. How many thousands of lives lost for 2 minutes?
Yeah. That's my point. That's my point. It's just not right.
It's not right. Nikki, you wanted to add to something. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was something that Radhika said about allowing yourself to process the film. What I would like is that we start to increase the empathy level in the world. And that when you see our documentary, I would like people to start to treat people better and have empathy and not rush them and not dismiss them and not give them money and all of the things we've been talking about, because to me it all comes from a lack of empathy, which we can call this a colonial thing, we can call it a patriarchal thing, we can call whatever you want to call it. To me it's the heart. Let your heart be opened. Let guide your life from the heart open, and begin to see the world in that way and other people in that way, and lead with kindness, so that we don't get to the situations of these kinds of genocides, that we raise our children, we raise people to be able to sort things out rather than through greed and war and all of those things that don't make any sense. Let's start to build humanity for everyone.
Love it. I would say lead with love.
Yes.
Lead with love. Anyone else before we call it? Because I know you've given us so much of the most valuable thing you have, your time. Any final words or comments?
Thank you so much, Dr. Vibe and Ryan Knight, for this forum, to be able to share our story, to be able to share or ask, and to be able to have a conversation with you about this project, Ray of Hope.
Yeah, I have nothing but gratitude for you sharing your channel and your audience with us to help amplify our voices as we work to amplify those all the other silenced voices. So I have nothing but gratitude. And last minute plug for anybody and everybody to join us on May 5th at the gala and premiere, first ever screening of the documentary. Join us. Dr. Vibe, I know you've put up, there it is, how you can get tickets. Also join us on the site.
Sorry, Dr. Vibe, you got to correct that.
Yeah, I know that was wrong.
The website is rayofhopedoc.com. And you can get tickets on whatever. We've shared the link to the Eventbrite as well. Thank you so much again.
Your questions have been amazing.
Amazing questions.
Are amazing. And I ask questions for a living. So
Ryan Knight is my mentor.
Right. Amazing questions. Thank you so much.
Well,
thank you.
I want to say again, thank you to all of you. After I watched the documentary, I had to take a moment and have some reflection, and the first question that came to my mind, Radhika, why? But now I'm saying, how can we change this? So it's a long-term story, and I just hope that this conversation can be start of a U-turn.
Right. Thank you.
My pleasure. So as always, we'd like to say to each one of you, and I have a feeling we'll see some more you again. Hopefully, it's going to be in person soon.
We'll see you on May 5th, won't we?
If I'm allowed to come.
And Dr. Vaughn, go in person. You know what you need to go. You do need to go in person.
In person.
It's always better.
I know.
In person.
Whether it's or a grant, go in person.
Yeah,
in person.
I have to go see the Liberal Caucus in Black Little
Tell them
Caucus.
again, Nikki.
See, the bookends of the conversation. I got to show up for them. I got to show up for you in person. But absolutely, we'll myself and Ryan will chat. And rather, we got to get you back on here, one, because I want people to get more educated. Because there's a whole history behind this that people don't know, right? And we have to really knowing history. This doesn't happen the last year. There's a whole history behind this. Like I remember going up Salon. I remember that.
Yeah.
But there are probably a lot of people here that what's that?
They only know about the Ceylon tea.
There you go.
Yeah.
And they don't know anything else.
All right. Well,
Thai food tea in England used to talk about, there was an ad that talked about Ceylon tea with Thai food tea from India and Ceylon. That's what you know.
Well, as always, we say at the end, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. And remember to give yourselves grace, and we'll chat with you soon. Thank you so much for making this an epic conversation. Keep the faith.
Thank you.
And love to your daughter.
Always.
All right. Take care, family. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right. Here we go. This was a whole pile of people to get off here. Here we go. All right. Did it all in one shot. Ryan Knight, what you got to say?
Hey, have we convinced you to go down in person to the event tomorrow? No, wonderful conversation. Looking forward to, May 5th. Check the calendar, see if we can be there and support.
Well, I have more energy to go see the documentary screening than the Liberal Caucus, by the way.
I don't doubt that.
And also, rather being a former politician, I wonder what she'd have to say to that. But I'll ask her in the back room on that. Yes. So, what's coming up for you this week?
What is happening? So tonight we are doing the first info session for the Detailing Nights Youth Entrepreneurship Program. So looking forward to seeing the youth that join and encouraging them to start a business in the summer. And something I found out, the summer company grant, which is $3,000 for students to start a business in the summer.
Coming up for that.
It's still open. So if students are interested in starting a business, I'm going to mention it tonight. You can get $3,000 to actually start your business. So a great way. And I used it back in 2012. So over 10 years ago, I was part of Summer Company. So I'm a big advocate for it to test out your.
I actually was asked a number of years ago to be a mentor for some sessions of that. So it's a great opportunity in regard. And actually, I know the gentleman who manages that program from the city of Toronto.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I know him. Yeah, we've known each other for a long time. So we had a conversation about that recently, but that's it. And nothing else? Car washing?
Yeah, I mean, training is ongoing. We have our team out and about.
Okay. Well, good. So people, I got to make the final decision if I'm going to this thing. I'll see if it's still open for me to go. If not, I'm too late, but I wanted you guys to guide me. So as always, let's do this. Follow the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube, hit the notification button. Also follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Advertise your business, product, or service. Email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Join the Morning Vibe Discord group by emailing me. And this is also how you can get a hold of me. Website, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, X/Twitter, and email, and then getting a hold of Mr. Knight, Ryan Oneil. I always just say Ryan Oneil Knight.com. LinkedIn, Ryan Oneil Knight. Instagram at Ryan.Knight99, and email work with me, Ryan Oneil Knight.com. And we got the replay thing there. Let me just see some final comments before we call it a day. Oh, actually, Frequency Event Promotion says, Ryan Singh, let's connect. We would like to contribute to your project. Opal Inspired says, well done, team. Rathika, it's important how we know how war affects innocent people and families. It is important. It is an important human story. We all need to do better. No more wars.
100% agreed.
All right. So we'll see you back on Friday. I don't know who we have yet on Friday, but hey, you guys, if we're just here by ourselves, you guys create conversation. So that's the thing. So as always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Thanks for giving us the most important thing that you have in your life, your time. Follow, share the word, etc. And take care.